Europol. Let's talk about what they've been doing.
They have a black hole.
Yeah, Europol has a black hole.
In data, theguardian.com. Latest news just came out today. January the 10th is today. A member of the Cybercrime Center in a lab at Europol headquarters in The Hague, Netherlands. EU police body accused of unlawfully holding information aspiring to become an NSA-style mass surveillance agency.
So check this out. When Europol investigates crimes, there's also, everything's interconnected.
Yes.
But anything that was secondary or tertiary to the crime, they were keeping all of that data unlawfully. Like, not even the data on the criminals themselves, but anybody that they had scanned their phones before. It doesn't matter what it was. They kept all of it. So what happened?
Well, they said, to clarify that, they said this is a big data arc. It contains billions of points of information. Sensitive data in the arc have been drawn from crime reports, hacked from encrypted phone services, and sampled from asylum seekers never involved in any crime. According to internal documents seen by The Guardian, so they were doing some investigation here.
Juicy.
Europol's cache contains at least 4 petabytes. 4 petabytes.
Wow. That's
How big
huge.
is a petabyte?
It's 1,000 terabytes, I believe.
Okay, here's the equivalent of it. Equivalent to 3 million CD-ROMs, or a fifth of the entire contents of the U.S. Library of Congress.
Yeah. So
that's a lot of data.
It's just a lot.
Data protection advocates say the volume of information held on Europol systems amount to mass surveillance and a step on its road to become a European counterpart to the U.S. National Security Agency, the NSA, because we've got issues here.
The NSA does that right now.
Because we know what Edward Snowden, the whistleblower, released on the NSA. Among the quadrillions of bytes held are sensitive data on at least 250,000 current or former terror and serious crime suspects and a multitude of other people with whom they came into contact.
See, that's the point.
That's
it's not even the criminal anymore. We're going to just, everybody under the sun, we're just going to take that data. We're just going to keep on analyzing. We're going to use it against people.
They went to a Middle Eastern restaurant in France, and 3 other people gone to that restaurant. So we're going to keep all the information of everybody that goes to that restaurant.
Do you know how many times I've been to a restaurant that's probably run by the mob?
Oh, yeah.
When I was on the East Coast, like New York City,
yeah.
Long Island, anything like that? Like, what? So you just going to hold my data in your little black hole? Probably. Anytime I do a Google search, NSA is like, juicy.
Yeah, juicy.
Thank you very much.
Google and the NSA. The watchdog ordered Europol to erase data held for more than 6 months and gave it a year to sort out what could be lawfully kept. So the confirmation pits the EU data protection watchdog against a powerful security agency. And this is, they said, being primed to become the center. Europol is primed to become the center of machine learning and AI in policing.
Yeah, you want to know why? Because they're just ripping all this data off of people without their consent, tracking them. Obviously, they're going to be able to feed a model, and it's just going to be a model for control. It reminds me of, it's going to get so good. It's like borderline Minority Report.
That's what it's going to be.
Happen ahead of time.
Yeah, I know what's going to happen ahead of time. If you get enough data points, you can predict that.
I know this person interacted with them. Yeah, we're going to go arrest them before a crime occurs.
I mean, that's what's so beautiful about marketing in the same way. It's because people go to the same restaurants. If they go to the gym or the same yoga place, and then you get a combination of other 3 people. Oh, they go to Lululemon. They go to the yoga place. They go get their Starbucks. And then people do the same thing over and over again, so it's easy to predict their patterns.
Yeah.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they have a trainer at the yoga place, so they go.
They never told you could look at their patterns. They never told you could do that sort of analysis. They were never opted into it. There was no consent. There was no idea of how that information on the person's life was being used.
So let's Europol. Let's say their response. Are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead, give it to me.
Europol denies any wrongdoing.
Of course,
and said the watchdog may be interpreting the current rules in an impractical way. The Europol...
They're just upset.
Yes, pissed off. The Europol regulation was not intended by the legislator as a requirement, which is impossibly met by the data controller Europol in practice. Europol has worked with the EDPS to find a balance between keeping the EU secure and its citizens safe, security and safety, once again, we talk about this all the time, while adhering to the highest standards of data protection. They say they're adhering to the highest standards of data protection.
How can you tell me you're adhering to the highest standards if you're robbing the data from the people and they don't even know it? How do you adhere to any protection if you can't even protect the basic principle of property right?
Yes.
The hell out of here.
And Europol has been pushed as a solution to terrorism in Europe. So this is the whole idea.
You can't keep using that damn excuse.
No.
How long are you going to keep just whitewashing all that stuff.
But they said that, Europol said that, these countries have been pushing them and encouraging them to harvest data on multiple fronts.
Of course. Yeah. Who's doing the encouragement? Who's telling you to harvest? I'm glad you're harvesting things, but there are human beings on the other side. I realize you're trying to, do the right thing here, but just tell people, hey, we collect all this information and just want to make you aware. Thanks.
Well, here's the part that gets sketchy. So there was this one political activist. He was just a political activist. Wasn't a terrorist, wasn't anything. He had a serious run-in with police because he broke a window. He's committing a crime. He needs to be punished for that. To gain entrance to a building, and he created a squat for homeless people, being a political activist.
Okay.
Well, in the Dutch watch list, he was removed because they labeled him as a terrorist, which he wasn't. He was just a political activist. So they removed him. In 2019, authorities removed him out of this. But a year, he had moved to Berlin, which prompted the Dutch police to share the data with German counterparts and Europol. So
Wait a minute. So just because you move,
right,
and you're not a terrorist, people are like, "Wow, we'll still share the data on you regardless to these other authorities, so they can track you when you're in their country."
So he began doing some digging.
This is interesting.
Yeah, and he went to Amsterdam City Hall. And there were some declassified files, and he did some searching on that, and he found his name in there, and that he was a terrorist in Europol in these declassified documents. So it's like, to get his personal data removed, he went to Europol, and he was like, hey, I did have a police run-in with this or whatever, but I'm not a terrorist, I'm a political activist. And saying that it had, so when he asked to get it removed, what he received was, this is what it said, entitled to have access to. He wasn't entitled to have access to his data.
So,
so what they're saying here, because this is gonna, I'm gonna tee you up. They're saying how easy it is for the police to share data with other police in other countries,
but they can't share it with
seamless,
you.
Because it went to Berlin, Amsterdam, and where he was originally from.
Yeah, Netherlands or whatever.
So it went through all these countries. It very easily be shared. Local police departments.
But they can't give it to him.
But
the guy
he
whose
asked for his own
information is
data,
on.
and he's not a terrorist.
Sounds pretty hypocritical.
I mean, if you're a terrorist, I get it.
It sounds like a pretty strong control mechanism. It's just, you know what it is? You know what it boils down to, Jason? This is what it boils down to. It's not right. It's not balanced. It's not fair.
Mm-mm.
It's not transparent. It's an abuse of power. It's wrong. It's just wrong.
Well, you're going to get somebody's free will, one.
Yeah.
Number two, you're putting them on a terrorist list, a watch list. So if he goes to...
No. You know what? I bet you their algorithm put him on a terrorist watch list.
Did, yeah.
Yeah.
And then to get him taken off, even though he submitted all the information, he's still not off. He submitted all the information from the Dutch police saying that he wasn't.
Think about what that does to somebody's life, though.
Every country you go to. I mean, people fly in Europe. You go all around. You've been there. We've all been there.
Yep.
You can go from country to country. You can hop on hopping on a train. You get stopped at a border.
Yeah.
You show your passport. He's on a list. Let's put him in a room.
Yep.
Interrogate him for 2 hours. They don't know. And as a police officer, you're not going to know that this got tagged as a terrorist.
And what's he going to say? I'm not an effing terrorist. And they're like, yes, you are. Europol says you are. And he's like, that's crap. And then what? You're going to have a conversation about data rights and data systems?
That's not going to work. They're not going to hear. They hear everything. These police are going to contain you, hold you.
It's ass backwards.
So then now you've gone against his free will. He can't even go to a different country.
No. And then you restrict people's freedom of movement. This is where it goes south.
Mm-hmm.
So while Europol's saying they didn't do anything wrong, they are so far off the Richter scale on wrong. It's almost astonishing. And I'm glad they got called out for it. That's absurd. It's totally effing absurd. We don't need to live in a world where it's hard enough to get from point A to point B, just with everything we do in a regular day. Now someone is going to inhibit us because of a digital footprint that is being wrongly associated with a certain, algorithm or group, and then that's going to restrict me there even further. So that means everything I interact with, which is inherently digital, I'm not even going to be able to even use. So society at that point, I can't even interact with it. It's think about it. It's wrong. It's just wrong. It's messed up.
Yes.
And it's not good for human evolution. Not one iota of it. It does not help human understanding. Nothing. And so, yeah, I'm frankly, I'm glad they got called out. Absolutely, totally absurd. Thanks.